The U.S. Arab Radio Network is proud to offer the Ray Hanania Show with veteran journalist Ray Hanania, the U.S. correspondent for the Arab News newspaper. U.S. Arab Radio broadcasts content Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on WNZK AM 690 in Detroit, WDMV 700 in Washington, D.C., and simulcast through stations around the country. Programs will rerun from 5 till 6 p.m. Visit us on Facebook at U.S. Arab Radio, and we're also streaming live on Facebook.com/Arab News. The U.S. Arab Radio Network is proud to offer the Ray Hanania Show with veteran journalist Ray Hanania, the U.S. correspondent for the Arab News newspaper. U.S. Arab Radio broadcasts content Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on WNZK AM 690 in Detroit, WDMV 700 in Washington, D.C., and simulcast through stations around the country. Programs will rerun from 5 till 6 p.m. Visit us on Facebook at U.S. Arab Radio, and we're also streaming live on Facebook.com/Arab News.
Welcome to the Ray Hanania Radio Show. I'm Ray Hanania. It is Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, and this is Season 3, Episode 18. We are brought to you by the U.S. Arab Radio Network and sponsored by Arab News, the voice of a changing region. Arab News at arabnews.com is an award-winning newspaper covering the Middle East with bureaus in Paris, London, Islamabad, Tokyo, and with coverage in the United States, where I'm the U.S. Special Correspondent. Our radio show focuses on the Arab American community and Arab American issues, and also looking at Middle East coverage from a U.S. and Arab American perspective. We have two great guests today. In segment one, we're going to speak with Bell City, California Council member Ali Saleh, who will talk about Arab American empowerment and the growth of the Arab community in California and how Arab Americans view various issues like climate change, migrants, politics, and have they faced racism. He'll also give us a description of the Arab community in that part of California. In segment two, we're going to speak with Samir Khalil, the founder of the Arab American Democratic Club, AADC, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary as the leading political organization in Illinois. The group was founded in the aftermath of the election in 1983 of Chicago's first African American mayor, Harold Washington. Mayor Washington helped strengthen Arab American community empowerment and created the Advisory Commission on Arab American Affairs, which was later disbanded by anti-Arab former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who is now the U.S. ambassador to Japan. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we can speak with our guests on the empowerment of Arab Americans in California and in Northern Illinois. We'll be right back right after these messages.
ArabNews.com, bringing you breaking news from across the Middle East and the latest on Arabs in America. Get inside the latest headlines with expert analysis and insights at ArabNews.com. Join over 5 million Facebook fans and over 10 million monthly readers. ArabNews.com, news that matters to you. Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bonham, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
Yeah, you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want
5-year-old Lila and her mom are on their way home from Grandma's, singing Lila's favorite song. A few blocks away, 25-year-old Dylan is visiting friends at a small party. He finishes off his last beer,
later, skater,
gets in his truck, and starts for home. Mom and Lila turn onto Maple Street.
If you're happy and you
So
know
does Dylan.
If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray!
Every 50 minutes in the United States, someone dies in a crash involving a driver impaired by alcohol or drugs. If you're impaired and you know it, don't drive. Drive sober. A message from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning.
And welcome back to our radio show. I'm Ray Hanania, and I have a great guest, Saleh, who is a council member from the city of Bell in California. Ali, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you participating in our radio program.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray, for having me. It's a pleasure.
This is your first time on our show, and obviously we're broadcasting in Detroit and Washington, D.C., but hopefully a lot of people will listen on podcasts around the country and online. But give us a little background about your political background. How'd you get involved in politics? What got you involved? And if you've held other offices, how long you've been a council member, just kind of let people know about your interest in politics and what you've done.
Definitely. I was born and raised in the community in the city of Bell. In 2010, we had a scandal, unfortunately, that happened here where the city manager was making over $1 million and council members were making close to $100,000. In comparison, I currently take a salary which is $670 a month.
Wow.
Comes out to be a little over $8,000, and those council members were making close to $100,000 each. And that scandal was broken by the LA Times. And at that time, I was a regular community member working and, trying to raise a family here in the city of Bell. And obviously property taxes were high. So we got involved and created a community group called BASTA, which the acronyms are Bell Association to Stop the Abuse. And I was one of the founders of that organization. And we were successful in recalling all the council members and bringing in 5 new council members. In the city of Bell, we, like a lot of the small cities here in LA County, we appoint a mayor and vice mayor every year within the council. And I had served as the first mayor right after all that had happened here in the city of Bell. I did not expect myself to be able to succeed, but I was the top vote getter in a community that is 96% Latinos.
Wow.
So it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be representing this community.
You are southeast, I believe, of Los Angeles, which is a huge city, but Bell isn't that big of a city. How did they justify that? Was it a secret that those salaries were so high?
Bell is a blue collar community where people work 2 jobs or more to be able
Right.
to live a good life. And a lot of people were not involved in their local government. And they were able to be under the radar until, the LA Times were investigating a neighboring city, but little did they know that the big corruption was unfortunately in our city. But, I ran with being transparent and being able to show the community what we do. We were able to, because of City of Bell, everyone in the state of California has to show their salaries and what they're making. So you could basically go on the transparent website in the state and be able to see each government employee what they're making.
That's amazing to me. I've never, in a small town like that, those were big salaries. So obviously you must do something else then for work then outside of, in addition to being a council member. What else do you do?
So my father came to this country in the early 1970s and was able to, after a few years of working, he was able to start his own clothing business. So me and my brothers were able to, get into that business and grow the business. So currently we have apparel locations here in Southeast Los Angeles.
And you indicated that your parents are Lebanese.
Both
Tell
of
us
my
a little bit
parents both of my parents immigrated from Lebanon in the early 70s, yes.
And why did they come to California? I mean, I know that a lot of Iranian and Persian people have come to Los Angeles. And I know that some of the Arabs, Lebanese, a lot of them went to Detroit. Was there some interest that brought them there, to California?
Good questions. I get the question of why did your parents land in the city of Bell, not in California? But my mom's uncle was based here in the city of Bell, and obviously, you always follow relatives to be able to make a smooth transition coming from back home here into the States. So they were able to come in here and live in a room with my mom's uncle, and able to grow a family and move on. And not only did my parents come here, but a lot of Lebanese that immigrated from Lebanon.
And the Lebanese, probably when it comes to politics, and again, I've covered politics almost 45 years. I was a City Hall reporter in Chicago for 17 years. The Lebanese Americans were always at the forefront of the political, empowerment of the Arab American community. Have you ever thought about that? I mean, there are some Palestinians, there's some Syrians, Egyptians. We have an Egyptian mayor, first woman Egyptian mayor in Bolingbrook in Illinois. But the Lebanese, for some reason, they really got involved in politics. Was there something about politics that attracted people like you to want to pursue that as an additional career on top of business?
Well, I mean, for myself, speaking about myself, I had never had any interest of going into politics. And because of the unfortunate circumstances that happened here in the city of Bell, that's how I got into politics. But, a lot of Lebanese here in LA County that I know, they just want to be able to, put food on the table for the family and be able to raise a family here. And politics is secondary. They don't have an interest. But I'm seeing a lot of new generations that are going into politics. When I first got elected in 2011, you didn't see that much. A lot of people, from what I've heard, I mean, I've never did any background on it, but I probably was the first Lebanese yet Muslim mayor here in the state of California. So I'm hoping that the young generations get more involved and take a career into politics, and hopefully be able to serve their communities. And, there's a lot that we can give as Arab Americans to this great country.
And that's one reason why it's so important to have an Arab American media, because nobody reports on our community better than our own community reports on them. That's amazing. One of the first, one of the first Muslim Americans, Lebanese Americans to be elected in that region. That's phenomenal. That's quite an achievement.
Thank you. Yes, it is. And I'm hoping more people get involved and be able to, put the new generations into politics.
And doesn't it have a positive side to it, where when mainstream Americans, who are so used to seeing us in movies being the bad guy, in news reports, being involved, always portrayed as involved in terrorism, here they see a person just like them from their neighborhood doing and being concerned about the exact same things that they're concerned about. That has to have a positive impact on the way the public, the general mainstream public, views Arab Americans and Lebanese.
Definitely. I mean, it's we got to continue to build and understand the trust that we, throughout our constituencies, and hopefully continue to build that trust within them, and know that, Arab American, the same issues that they have, we have, the misconceptions and the stereotype that sometimes surround our community is not the case. We want to do like everybody else around here. I'm fortunate to represent a community that is 96% Latinos, and they have entrusted themselves of having an Arab American to be on the city council here. And this is my third term. I've gotten top vote getter every single time, and I'm hoping to continue to serve this community in any way possible, whether it's on the council or if I ever retire, I'll still definitely stay involved with our community.
And that's a great point that you make. It's 96% Hispanic or Latino, and in a community like that, you are one of the top vote getters. You're Arab American, Lebanese American, Muslim American. What does that say about the community itself when they look at you? They must see past the stereotypes then, correct?
Well, the fortunate side that I have as well is I'm fluent in Spanish, so I'm able to communicate good with them. I grew up in this community. My kids play sports alongside their children. We go to the same parks, the same schools, and we're able to see one another. Going back to the issue that we had during the scandal, we have a youth center, a Muslim youth center, that we were able to open the door to have community come and have meetings there to strategize on what to do to take back their community. And at that time, we had the Wall Street Journal that came in, the New York Times that spoke about how the Arab Americans and the Hispanic community were able to work side by side to take back their community.
Yeah, and is there? Obviously, it can't be that big in Bell because 96% is Latino. But in their region where you're at, is there a big Arab American presence that you see a lot? I mean, do you see a lot of restaurants? Is there a community near you? What do Americans see of Arab Americans in addition to yourself? How big is the community?
Yes, thank you. In the city of Bell, we do have quite a bit of Lebanese Americans. We're probably 1 or 2% of the population. So we do have a presence here. A lot of our kids go to the high schools here. There is restaurants in the city of Bell. So we do have a presence. People do know that there's a population of Lebanese American here. The closest to the city of Bell that has a population of Arab American is in the city of Anaheim, which probably has the biggest population that I know of in Southern California.
What are some of the big issues? Now, obviously, you came in to right a wrong. You saw this outrageous salary, which I agree with you. That's outrageous for a small town way back, and they elected you, and you said it right. You corrected it, I think, which the voters and the public support, probably reflecting why you're so popular there. What are some of the other big issues? I mean, once you got past that issue, what did you find was the biggest issues that needed to be addressed?
Well, I mean, in the city of Bell and all LA County is, advocate for combating discrimination and ensuring that our rights, our civil rights as Americans are protected, and promoting better representation and participation by Arab Americans. I'm always pushing for our youth and our adults to be included in government and hopefully, be able to continue the path of being engaged in our community and strengthen the relationship between, the Americans and the Arab world, fostering and understanding and collaborating both regionally and global issues. So we continue to work with one another. I try to get on a lot of regional boards. There's one board that I sit on that includes 28 cities. One of them is the second biggest city in LA County, which is Long Beach. And I was president until the end of June. So I'm the immediate past president. So I try to engage myself more to have that presence for myself and the Arab community.
When I was at Chicago City Hall as a reporter many years ago, I covered Daily to Daily. Richard J. Daley, who was a big machine politician, and they had this big organization. And he had a big national presence. But every year I would go to the mayor's conference, the U.S. mayor's conference, and I had never, and of course I'm talking about in the late 70s and 80s, I had never met an Arab mayor at any of those conferences. Do you participate in the U.S. Mayor's Conference, for example, and at that level too?
I have been to one of those conferences. It's a lot of the big cities that are engaged there, but we do get invited to that. I've also was fortunate to be part of NALEO, which is National Association of Latino Elected Officials as well, given that LA County has a lot of Latino constituency and leaders. So I have attended that as well. But yes, I have attended that. And, there's a lot of great things and knowledge that you bring back to the community from the bigger cities.
And I always ask this question of Arab Americans that I talk to who are in politics. I grew up at a time when all we ever talked about, again, I'm much older than you, but when I grew up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, even the 80s, the focus was always back home on the Middle East. We were really focused on that, regardless of whether we're Palestinian, Lebanese, or Syrian. And I wonder today, do you have any feelings about the proper way to balance the two issues between being concerned about the Middle East and our heritage and being concerned about living in a neighborhood with other Americans as American citizens? Do you have any feelings about that balance? Is it balanced properly, or do we need to do more as Arab Americans to bring that into balance?
As elected leaders and residents of this great state country, is to continue to advocate for the rights of our country back home, to be able for them to have a quality of life that they deserve. Sometimes I hear situations of what's happening back home, the economic instability in Lebanon and other parts of the Arab world. Politics is politics, but again, there's people that need to live respectfully in their country. So, I try to do my part when there's meetings or conferences that we attend that helps out our Arab countries. But in the end of the day, we all have to pitch in, and hopefully we can make that side of the world a better place for everybody to live.
Does it make you a stronger politician too? Because I know this is that way for a lot of Hispanic and African American politicians that I often interview, wearing your ethnicity. Is it easy to be Arab American? I mean, honestly, there was a time in the 50s when it was hard to be an African American politician. Then it grew into a very strong presence in many of our cities. Is that the same process that Arab Americans are going through? In other words, is it easier for you today to be Arab American in politics in the United States, to be an American and involved as an Arab American?
When I ran in 2011, a lot of people told me that, I shouldn't push the part that I am Arab or Muslim, but I did not shy away from that. I put my name, Ali Saleh. My parents were both immigrants of Lebanon. I am a Muslim living in this country, and I think that helped me out dramatically. I think keep true to who you are, and that's what we have to continue to be, and not shy away from where our parents came from. We whether we like it or not, we are living in one of the greatest countries in the world, and we have to keep true to our identity. And for myself, I am an Arab American, parents born in Lebanon, who are born as a Muslim.
So you stay engaged then with other Arab American organizations and activities?
Yes, I did. Yes,
That's interesting. I wanted to ask you about, tell me about like the politics of California. I mean, you are a politician, you are an elected official, and you are at a state level, obviously, a regional part of a big state. California is a huge state, has a massive influence on our presidential elections, has a massive influence on our foreign policies and our not just foreign policies, but national policies. One, have you thought about running for higher office? And two, what are some of your feelings about, the national politics, or do you stay out of that?
So I did I did run for state senate a couple of years ago. It was quite a experience. Obviously, I did not make it. There was quite a bit of people that ran. I came out second Democrat out of a field of 6 or 7. I forgot the number. It was a learning experience. Would I do it again? Probably not. But you're talking more nation politics. That's a whole different arena for me. Obviously, there's a lot of things happening in the federal level that I'm hoping that in the end that they work with one another to be able, in the state of California, the Democrats control most of the legislative process. They have a supermajority. The last I heard, they had a supermajority, but obviously there's seats that kind of change here and there. But in the end, they do work with one another. And for me, I'm good at the local level, and I continue to work with my community. I have a daughter and 3 grown adults, and my time right now is to try to concentrate on my family.
So your focus really is in your city and regionally in your area. You don't really get too engaged in this big, terribly polarized political debate between Democrats and Republicans. Do you identify with the party, if I might ask? Or I don't want to push you into anything, but is that like a big pressure on you? Or
I am a Democrat.
okay. And do you get involved in, like the Democratic Party and activities? And do you feel welcomed by the Democrats as an Arab American and Muslim?
I do get involved here and there, not as much as I should be. I'm more involved in regional LA County boards that I sit on. And, I do go and advocate for issues when it comes to my city and the region itself, whenever there's legislation being passed that either, benefit or harm our cities, that we go and, speak to our legislators. I do have a good relationship with them, and I continue to work to be able to have that collaboration with them for the benefit of the region and our city.
I just want to say it was great to meet you. It's always good to see somebody like you being in political journalism. It's very exciting for me to see more and more Arab Americans get involved in politics and government. Politics isn't just about politics. It's about public service and government. And I know that based on how you got in 2011, it was about public service. You wanted to do something that was good for the residents. You did achieve that, and you've been in office ever since. We're very proud of you. Any final thoughts, anything that you'd like to say that I didn't ask about at all?
Well, no, I mean, I thank you very much for having me. For those listening, I'm hoping that, they stay true to their principles and engage with their community, and never underestimate the positive impact that they can have by, actively participating in the democratic process. So stay engaged, and hopefully one day I'll see an Arab American president here in the United States.
And that could be you. That could be you.
You.
I'm not trying to push you that high, but there are other offices I'm sure you'd be very qualified for. My guest today is Saleh from the city of Bell in California, just south a little bit of Los Angeles County, I believe. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
ArabNews.com, bringing you breaking news from across the Middle East and the latest on Arabs in America. Get inside the latest headlines with expert analysis and insights at ArabNews.com. Join over 5 million Facebook fans and over 10 million monthly readers. ArabNews.com, news that matters to you.
Ziyad brand, quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
هل تلقى أطفالكم أحدث نسخة من لقاح كوفيد-19؟ لقد تم لغاية اليوم تطعيم أكثر من 5.5 مليار شخص بلقاح كوفيد-19، وأثبتت النتائج أن اللقاحات كانت فعالة، حيث قام الخبراء حول العالم بإجراء الاختبارات اللازمة ليكون اللقاح آمناً وفعالاً. اللقاح لا يحميكم أنتم وعائلتكم فقط، بل يحمي المجتمع كله. قوموا بواجبكم من خلال التحدث إلى مقدمي الخدمات الصحية أو زيارة michigan.gov/kids-covid-vaccine. رسالة من وزارة الصحة والخدمات الإنسانية.
And now I'm really honored to have my next guest, a person I've known a long time, Samir Khalil. 40 years ago, and it's hard to believe so much time has passed, Samir, but 40 years ago, Samir helped organize, he was the founder of the Arab American Democratic Club, which was one of the first political Arab American mainstream organizations in the Midwest in the United States. The Arab American Democratic Club did so much in terms of empowering Arab Americans and getting them to vote. In 1973, we were a small community. Today, in 1983, we were a small community. Today, we are a growing, bigger community. Samir, welcome to the radio show.
Thank you, Ray, for having me.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit, first of all, about what moved you to want to create an Arab American Democratic Club? What was the reason?
Our community was growing slowly, but at that time, we could not, elected officials and candidates would not talk to us as Arab community. As you know, we're always marginalized, and they didn't care one way or another about our community. So therefore, we could not even talk to on the lowest level. Police will talk down to us, aldermen and other candidates, elected officials, they could care less about us. But that year, a new candidate came to run for mayor. His name was Harold Washington, an African American. And I was sitting down in my office and I thought, well, this is a good opportunity for our community to get involved with a minority candidate. And talked to a few people in our community, like God bless his soul, Ayub Talhami and Samir Ode and Camelia Ode and Khalil Shalabi and Dr. Mansour and Faisal Muhammad and yourself also. And Vivian Khalif was involved also. And we started this idea about Arab American Democratic Club. And we have been approached by the mayor's, the candidate then, Harold Washington office, and if we can be helpful in his campaign. He was welcoming, very welcoming, and we took the opportunity to help out and be part of that campaign. We met a lady by the name of Lynette Lewis and also Proxy Nesbitt, who asked us that time to see if they can register voters from our community. And we knew nothing about registering voters or anything like that. So we sat down, Ayub and the rest of the group, and said, you know what? There is a festival going on downtown. Let's take the forms and go downtown in the festival and register voters. And we did. We came up with about 2,500 votes, registered voters. And we thought that was a big deal, you know. We took this list, and the mayor welcomed us in a very big way. And he said, what are you going to do now? I said, we're just going to continue getting involved and get the community, alert the community about your campaign and getting involved. Anyway, the election took place, and Harold Washington won by, I think, about 40,000 votes.
Right.
And the tally came in, and out of the 40,000 votes, there were 39,000 Muslim and Arab surnames that voted for Harold that time.
Out of his total vote. Out of his total.
Yeah, out of the total, yeah. But he won by 40,000. We thought the 39,000 made a difference, you know. And he noticed that. And he said, okay, what we do next? How about an Arab Advisory Council? I said, great, you know. And we started working on the Arab Advisory Council.
And just for listeners, I would remind them, back in 1983, Jane Byrne was the mayor. She'd been the first woman mayor of the city of Chicago. She was running for re-election. She's a white candidate. Richard M. Daley, who was the state's attorney, a white candidate, and the son of the long-standing Richard J. Daley, the boss, the mayor of Chicago with the Chicago Machine. He was running for mayor. And Harold Washington, I think, was a former state rep. He decided he was going to run. And a lot of people at the time didn't think he had a chance. But I think it was very smart to reach out to Arab Americans because you're absolutely right. He won with 36% of the vote in the city of Chicago, higher than Jane Byrne and higher than Rich Daley. And I think Arab Americans gave him the edge. He never forgot that, did he? He was very grateful to the Arab community.
Absolutely. And he sent out a few people from his campaign, like Tim Evans, talked to us that time. And they were really eager to see what we can do in the Arab community. And we established the idea of the Advisory Council on Arab Affairs. No other candidate, whether Jane Byrne or Daley that time or anybody, considered us as an effective group. But since he was a minority, he tried to gather as many minority groups as he could, the Latinos and some others, in our South. And really that worked. And when it came down between him and the Republican, then
Bernie Epton, right?
Yeah. A lot of candidates, a lot of aldermen and elected officials who are white, they were running the campaigns of Democrats. But since it ended up with the Democrat Harold Washington and Epton, who's white Republican, they went with Epton.
Right.
And that heated up, the campaign heated up so unbelievable that time. And we really did our work, our homework very well, and were able to bring in the names we just mentioned, 39,000 who voted for Harold Washington, which I believe that made the difference, and moved on to establish the Advisory Council on Arab Affairs.
Yeah, it was a significant block of votes that helped Harold Washington. He won the primary. In the Democratic primary, he became the Democratic candidate. Now, in every election since Richard J. Daley, the Democrats have always won in Chicago. But as you pointed out correctly, a lot of whites, many Democrats wouldn't support a black candidate, and they ran to Bernie Epton, who was both Jewish and white, and a state representative. And he had kind of a racist campaign called Vote for Bernie Before It's Too Late. But the Arab community stood by Harold Washington and the black community. And Harold Washington won that election in April of 1983, making him the first black mayor of the city of Chicago, in which African Americans were almost a third of the city population at the time. That was pretty big. He had to have been very grateful to the Arab community.
And so also, with the help of Jim Zabi, the Arab American Institute, and from between him and us talking about what do we do beside the Advisory Council on Arab Affairs as part of the city, working with the city of Chicago, what also thought about a political organization. And from that point, we created something called the Arab American Democratic Club. And since then, we have hosted over probably 2,000, maybe more, candidates and elected officials, local, state, county, and federal, even, presidential candidates like Obama and, a few others, can't remember, but, there were a few senators.
And that was a time when I mean, as you pointed out with Jim Zogby, the following year, 1984, Jesse Jackson started running for, president and wanting to, build up the momentum.
Right.
And again, it was Arab Americans, the Arab American Democratic Club, that supported him with Jim Zogby in Washington and the Arab American Institute. And he went on in 1988 to play a prominent role as a presidential candidate. Even though he didn't win, he never forgot, like Harold Washington, the role
Yeah.
that Arab Americans played. And I think we had the largest number of delegates, didn't we? At
We
a
did, and
Democratic
also-
convention that year, and I believe
Yeah.
88.
We did in 1988. We were able, with the help of Jesse Jackson and Jim Zogby, the Arab American Institute, to pass 13 Palestinian flags in 13 states. Okay, and that was really a big achievement for Jesse Jackson and Jim Zogby and the Arab community at large, and
Right.
the Arab American Democratic Club. And from that point on, now candidates want calling us up, say, we want to come to your event. We want your votes. We want your donations. We and from that point, we had the blessings of God bless her soul, Maryam Zayed, who passed 4 years ago, and she ran for office. I ran for office. You ran for an office
For
yourself.
local school, state rep to learn about running for office. And these were like classes, weren't they? These were an education. We were learning, right? How to run for office, how to
You
get
were
votes.
you were given the classes at the Aqsa School
Yes,
for
I
our
was.
community that time. I remember that,
Yes,
and
I
we were
was.
learning from you how to run. And luckily, and also, we had no policemen, no employees within the city. Now we have not a lot, but
It's growing.
we came a long way, but we still have to go a long way to go. But the impressive thing that we have seen, a lot of Arab Americans running for offices, like mayoral offices, Congress offices, some senators, local, Illinois state senator recently, Nasser Rashid, have won as a state representative in Illinois, and Muslims also,
Right.
Muslims and Arabs. And we really have to really study the support from others toward our candidate, the Arab American and the Muslim candidate, see how the support is coming from different groups, because the Muslims are not only Arabs, they are 50 different Muslim countries around the
Right.
world and 22 Arab countries. And there's a difference. Some candidates are willing to talk only to Muslims, but when it comes to Arab, whether Muslim or Christian, they don't want to talk to us.
Now again, we're talking 40 years ago, even 30 years ago, when we were running in the 80s and the 90s. But for some reason in the 90s, the community seemed to split a little bit, and we were growing in numbers. But it seemed like there was like some little rivalries and divisions. How was the Arab American Democratic Club able to stay so? You're probably the most popular organization in the Chicagoland area when it comes to Arab Americans. Consistent, always having a breakfast brunch for the candidates. I think the last one that the AADC, the Arab American Democratic Club, had, you had something like 50 candidates, including, I think, 4 candidates for mayor of Chicago. That was unheard of only 10 or 15 years ago. That was an amazing achievement.
We keep our word. That's number one. We do not promise more than what we can deliver. And that kept the Arab American Democratic Club in the ball game for all these years. and candidates and elected officials, they were coming bigger in numbers. We sometimes have over 100 candidates, judges, you name it, senators, like the Dick Durbin came to us so many times.
Who hired an Arab American as a staff member.
Right,
Harold
right.
Washington hired a lot of Arab Americans,
Yes,
didn't he?
yes.
That was
I
a big
was his
deal.
liaison for the community, as a, to go between the city and
Samir, do you think,
community.
Samir,
It really helped a lot, in recognizing our community here locally in Illinois and especially Chicago, and also in the southwest suburbs, and also nationally. Now we have Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and also Ilhan Omar, who's
Right.
from Somalia, and other candidates and other elected officials. I think I mean, I don't want to give the credit totally to the Democratic Club, but I think the Democratic Club, the Arab American Democratic Club, played a major role in bringing these people at the front, encouraged them to run for offices. Whether they win or lose, it really didn't matter as long as we run for offices. At the end, some of them have won offices, and hopefully some more on the way.
And it awakened the community, didn't it, to politics?
Absolutely. We have a mayor from Egypt, in Bolingbrook. We had a mayor who was born in Gaza. Gaza. Imagine someone born in Gaza became the mayor of Oak Park. His name is Anan Abu Talib. That's unheard of. Okay.
So I got to get him on my radio show.
Well, of course, yeah.
We got to get him on there. But you're right.
Yeah, I will.
We've seen a lot of Arab Americans, and I do believe it did start with the Arab American Democratic Club in Chicago. Now, our relationships with the Black community, we could be stronger. But I noticed the important thing about the Arab American Democratic Club is your commitment, your celebration of African Americans, because you have a number of speakers. I think you have Mary Basta, who's the only female Egyptian American mayor of Bolingbrook, who is co-hosting this in Bolingbrook at the Bolingbrook Country Club November 1st. And then your keynote speaker is an African American, the highest ranking African American in the state of Illinois, the Illinois Speaker of the House, Emmanuel Chris Welch. He didn't hesitate to say, because years ago, if you asked somebody to speak to any Arab group, they'd say no. Emmanuel, House Speaker Emmanuel said absolutely he would come. And he's going to be introduced, I believe, by another African-American at the event, Cyril Nichols, the state representative from the Bridgeview area. That's a big response. I think the Arab American Democratic Club, I think, has always been loyal to the relationship and the support that African Americans have given Arab Americans, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, we only, our commitment is kept. Our word is good. We will not go beyond what we can do. And that keeps us, unlike any political games in town. Politics, people twist stories for their advantage. We don't. We're straightforward. We are Democrats, and we tell the Democratic candidates or the elected officials, this is our line, this is who we are, and this is what we can deliver. And that's it. You ask us for more, we can't. And that's the way, really, a message to elected officials and candidates and organizations. Stay committed and truthful with everything. You are going to be caught if you lie. As we say, lies have short legs. That is a message for candidates and elected officials. You can't play both sides of the fence, or that fence and that fence, and say, well, this is politics. No, you are a political candidate, a political elected official, you have to be truthful and honest to your constituents and to your people. It's not about once you have I'm sorry, if you give access to a certain group or certain individual to a elected official a candidate or elected official in his office or her office, if you just open your door for certain elected official and for certain people, then you have done harm to the rest of your citizens in your ward or your congressional district or as a president. You can hurt yourself by lying and not opening up for your constituents and your
Right.
citizens.
Yeah, and one of the probably the most important lesson I think that comes out of the Arab American Democratic Club is this. Not only did we try to get Arab Americans elected, we supported many, many non-Arab Americans who won office. At your last breakfast brunch, I think a year ago, you had something like 50 candidates. Yes, there were some Arab Americans. We had several of them, but the majority were non-Arab, and we showed that we support everybody who does the right thing, right?
90% of them are non-Arab. About 40 to 50 candidates, they were non-Arabs. We welcome them. We welcome all. Like, our speakers are what, 5, 6, 6 of them are non-Arabs. Maybe
Right.
one was an Arab, Nasser Rashid,
Right.
but the rest of them are all non-Arab.
Yeah, I think that in a way, Abdul Nasser Rashid, the state representative, a great guy, by the way. I think
Yes.
his position is a result of the pavement that you built, the road that the Arab American Democratic Club built, that not only brought Arab candidates, but brought other candidates, non-Arab candidates, to support us. The Black community, the African American community, though, they stood up at a time to support us, right? When it wasn't popular to support us. Remember,
Right.
they were investigating Arab Americans in the 70s. They were making us look negative and bad back in the 70s. And yet African Americans stood up for us. And I think it's a great thing, Samir, that the Arab American Democratic Club is remembering what happened 40 years ago, what happened with Harold Washington, and having an African American as their main keynote speaker. We only got a few minutes left, Samir, but the event, tell us a little bit about the dinner that is coming up. I think the website is arabdemocraticclub.com. If you go there, it'll take you to the main website. It's very easy to remember, arabdemocraticcclub.com. But tell us.
They can call some phone numbers. I give my number 773-719-3331, or just go on the website that you mentioned. This is the first time we have dinner. Always we have brunch.
Right.
But, we thought since it's the 40th anniversary, we'll change a little bit. And everybody is welcome. You have to reserve ahead of time because we fill up quickly.
Right.
And we always have a full room. And we welcome everyone, Latinos, African Americans, white, black, you're all welcome.
This is
we'll
an
be happy
event.
to have you.
This is an event people should not miss. My guest, Samir Khalil, he's the founder of the Arab American Democratic Club, founded 40 years ago in 1983 during the campaign of the first African American to hold office as mayor of Chicago, Harold Washington. And he went on to hold office for 5 years until his untimely death just before Thanksgiving, I believe in 1988, I think, or 87. It was right after his reelection. He won election, and he didn't even finish that first year of his second term. He was such a good person. But Samir, the AADC, what a great organization, and I appreciate you taking the time to share some of that history.
Thank you so much, Ray, for inviting me. And we look forward to see you and see everybody else there. And you're going to be the MC.
I'm looking forward to it. And just remind everybody, go to ArabDemocraticClub.com and buy your tickets, get your ads, because as Samir said, those seats are going to go fast. Samir, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
ArabNews.com, bringing you breaking news from across the Middle East and the latest on Arabs in America. Get inside the latest headlines with expert analysis and insights at ArabNews.com. Join over 5 million Facebook fans and over 10 million monthly readers. ArabNews.com, news that matters to you. At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain.
شوية نشرب قهوة في حتة بعيدة عزمني على نكتة جديدة وخلي حساب الضحك عليا يا ما نفسي أعيش إنسان قلبه على كفه كل اللي بردانين في كفوفه يتدفوا
حمزة نمرة يجدو بأحلى الألحان في أمريكا
تغير ياما عن زمان قافل على قلبك البيبان حبيت وفرقت كم مكان عايش جواك
حمزة نمرة وجولة غنائية يبدأها يوم 8 سبتمبر في واشنطن العاصمة و9 سبتمبر في ديربورن ميشيغان، وآخر حفلاته يحييها في شيكاغو بولاية إلينوي 10 سبتمبر. وسيتم تخصيص العائدات بالكامل لإرسال مساعدات إنسانية إلى سوريا واليمن والسودان.
عامل قاسي وجوايا مفيش قسوة ماليش غير قسوتي عزوة بتدوا الحق للأقوى وبتيجوا تملي عالطيب.
وتدعو منظمة الحياة للإغاثة والتنمية Life for Relief and Development جمهور الحفلات لزيارة الجناح المخصص لها بموقع كل حفل للتعرف على مشاريعها التنموية والإغاثية والتي تسهم في تقديم المساعدات للآلاف من المحتاجين حول العالم. ولمعرفة المزيد عن أنشطة منظمة الحياة زوروا موقعهم على lifeusa.org. ولمزيد من المعلومات حول الحجوزات وأماكن الحفلات زوروا الموقع الخاص بالحجز على www.roguevirtue.com.
قولي عاوز يجاوبني وروح لحالك ليه تعبني مرة واحدة سيبني أمشي وادوس على الماضي القليل.
Are your hands feeling numb? Do you feel pain opening up a jar, turning a key? Are you noticing that your elbow and your shoulder are becoming stiff? Or were you recently injured in your arm? Hello, I'm Dr. Al-Majid Katranji, and at the Katranji Hand Center, which just recently opened down the street from the Somerset Mall, we can provide you with the latest in hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder care. Visit us at www.katranjihandcenter.com to learn the latest techniques that we have to offer you, and I look forward to taking care of you.
Visit us in Troy at 1565 West Big Beaver Road, Building F, or call Katranji Hand Center for an appointment at 248-869-4263.
You've been listening to the Ray Hanania radio show brought to you by the U.S. Arab Radio Network and sponsored by Arab News, Season 3, Episode 18, August 30th, 2023. You can listen to this podcast and all of our past radio shows on podcast by visiting Arab News newspaper, the voice of a changing region at arabnews.com. There are so many great podcasts you should check out, including The Mayman Show with host Hussein El Mayman and Frankly Speaking with host Katie Jensen. You should check them all out. And you can get more information on myself, Ray Hanania, by visiting my personal website hub at www.hanania.com. Or you can get information on Arab American journalism at naja-us.com, NAAJA-US.com. I look forward to joining you next week when we have more interviews and great guests here at the Ray Hanania Show on the U.S. Arab Radio Network at arabradio.us and sponsored by Arab News, the voice of a changing region at arabnews.com. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.